Alright, so this is Mr. Walker, and I'm going to show you how to factor quadratics by grouping. So you are learning several methods to factor quadratics, and I'm going to show you how to do it by grouping. And I'm going to show you how to do it with quadratics, where that number in front of your x squared is greater than 1. So I'm going to be working with quadratics where that number right there is greater than 1, because that's usually when we use grouping. And if you look right here, I do have a step-by-step process that shows you how to do these. And that's the step-by-step process I will be using. Okay? The first step is always the same. I'm going to take the number in front of the x squared. I'm going to multiply it by the number at the end. 6 times 3. We know that 6 times 3 is 18. So I'm going to write that 18 right there. I need two numbers that multiply to give me that 18, that add to give me this middle number. Okay? Two numbers that multiply to give me that 18, that add, you see that addition? That add to give me this middle number. So let's think about that. 1 and 18. 1 times 18, that certainly multiplies to give me 18. But do 1 and 18 add to give me 11? And they do not. So I'm going to go up to a 2. 2 and 9. 2 and 9 multiply to give me 18. And do they add to give me 11? And they do. So those are the two numbers that I'm going to be working with. 2 and 9. Right there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take those two numbers, the 2 and the 9, and I'm going to use them to break up this middle term. Okay? I'm going to use those two numbers, the 2 and the 9, to break up that middle term right there. And I'm going to switch my color, kind of make this a little less confusing. So I'm going to rewrite that as 6x squared plus 2x, so I'm using that 2, plus 9x, so I'm using that 9 right there, plus 3. Okay, so again, I use these two numbers, 2 and 9, to break up that 11x. So 2x plus 9x gives me 11x. That's kind of that process there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at that whole thing, 6x squared plus 2x plus 9x plus 3. And I'm only going to look at this first part. So we're going to start out by just looking at these two terms, 6x squared plus 2x. What goes into both 6x squared and 2x? Well, I know that a 2 goes into both the 6 and the 2. I know that an x goes into both x squared and x. So 2x will go into both of these two terms. So I'm going to pull a 2x out. And there are some videos on how to do that from the past few days. So do reference those videos if there's any confusion. But I'm going to pull out a 2x. When I say pull out, I'm going to pull it outside the parentheses. And then I'm going to divide both of these terms by 2x. So what is 6x squared divided by 2x? Well, 6 divided by 2 is 3. And x squared divided by x is x. And then I'm going to drop down my plus. And then I have this 2x divided by 2x is 1. There you go. And again, we were just looking at these first two terms. Now I'm going to turn my attention to the last two terms, the 9x and the 3. So I'm going to drop down this addition, plus. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to ask myself, what number goes into both 9x and 3? Well, a 3. A 3 will go into a 9, a 3 will go into a 3. So a 3 goes into both of those. I'm going to pull out a 3. And then I'm going to divide both of these by 3. 9x divided by 3. Well, 9 divided by 3 is 3. I just drop down that x. I'm going to drop down this plus right here. And then I have 3 divided by 3 is 1. Okay, now we're almost done. This is the last step. So you see how I have this 3x plus 1 right there? And I also have a 3x plus 1 over here. I'm just going to write it one time. So the thing that you see that's written twice, all you do is write it once. Go down and write 3x plus 1. Okay? So all I did is that thing that's written twice, I go down here and write it once, and then I ask myself what's left over. Well, just this 2x and this plus 3. And I write that right over here. 2x plus 3. And that is your final answer. 3x plus 1 times 2x plus 3. And if you look at your notes, unfortunately, it kind of skipped that last part. But that's what I did down here. Okay? And there is a reason that we pull out that 3x plus 1 and put it right here by itself. And the reason we do it is you can kind of see this 3x plus 1 as being distributed to this. So that 3x plus 1 has been distributed to the 2x, and that gave me this. And the 3x plus 1 has been distributed to the 3, and that gave me that. So that's kind of the reasoning of why we write it like that. But that's how you do factoring by grouping. And we'll look at one more problem on my second slide. This one right here. 2x squared plus 7x plus 3. We're going to do the exact same steps. So I'm going to start out, as always, by multiplying the number in front of your x squared times your last number without the x. 2 times 3 is 6. So I need two numbers that multiply to give me the 6 that add to give me this middle number. So let's think about it. 1 and 6. Well, 1 times 6, they multiply to give me the 6. But does it add to give me the middle number? 1 plus 6 is 7. So yes, it does. Those are the two numbers I will be working with. I will use these two numbers to break up this middle term right there. So I'm going to copy over my 2x squared. Let me write it over here so I don't run out of room. Let me change my color. We'll do this. Okay. So I'm going to write 2x squared plus, I'm going to use this 1x plus, I'm going to use the 6x, and then I'm going to copy over this 3, plus 3. Okay, I do apologize how messy it is. I'm supposed to be getting an Apple Pencil here shortly, and when I do, this will become much neater. But all I did is I took these two numbers to break up that middle term. That's where that 6x and the x come from. And now I do the same thing I did with my last problem. I look at my first two terms first, and I ask myself, what goes into both a 2x squared and an x? Oh, an x does, right? An x goes into x squared, and x goes into x. So I pull out an x. So I put it outside the parentheses. And then I divide my 2x squared by x. 2x squared divided by x is 2x. Then I have this x. X divided by x is 1. Then I copy down this plus right here. Then I look at my last two terms, and I ask myself, what goes into a 6x and a 3? Well, a 3 goes into both those, right? A 3 goes into 6 twice, a 3 goes into 3 once. So I pull out my 3. and I divide a 6x by 3, 6x divided by 3, that's 2x, plus 3 divided by 3, that's 1. Okay, and then I look at the thing that occurs twice, this 2x plus 1. Remember on my last slide I said whatever occurs twice, I write it once. So I just write that 2x plus 1 one time. And I ask myself what's left over. Well, the x and the 3. So I put x plus 3. And there you go. That is your final answer. That is how you factor by grouping.